back to Coaches at Crown Brew Getting Coffee. We appreciate you being here as always. Got a great group of guests today, another multi-guest podcast like last week, and just glad you're joining us, either listening in or watching. I want to thank Ross and Abby for being here today and taking care of everything. I want to thank Crown Brew for letting us film as usual. I want to mention to you Swinford Wedding Photography and Videography. Ross does the video, Abby does the photography. They do an amazing job. There'll be information there on the screen for you to follow. If you have those kinds of needs, you can trust them to do a great job for you. I want to thank my buddies at Adrenaline Fundraising, Matt and Jeff, for all they do, and happy birthday to my buddy Jeff, by the way, and thank them for supporting so many coaches and helping them raise money. And not a fun thing to do for a coach, but a necessary thing. And they are the best at doing that and really doing a lot right now in Southern Illinois. And I want to thank my buddy Tony Gooch at Marion Plumbing for your commercial and residential plumbing needs. Tony Gooch is your guy at Marion Plumbing, so I want to thank them for being sponsors for our podcast. And so we're going to dive in. My guests today are three highly respected IHSA officials. We're going to be talking from the football side of things today only, just for time purposes. But I have with me Shane Bennett, Jon Green, and Jim Kowzan. And I want to say that these three guys are all at the highest level you can be at. They're highly respected, and I just appreciate all three of you guys being here. So we're going to dive right in and talk about this. We're going to look at football maybe from a little different vantage point. This has been on my agenda for a long time. We've talked to coaches, we've talked to assistant coaches, we've talked to players. We have not talked to officials yet. So I'm a little outnumbered. It's three officials and one coach, but we'll do the best we can here. I've got so many great questions, and as I've anticipated, guys, this coming up, the questions just kept rolling, and then my wife is shouting questions to me. Ask them about this. That's what I said. And I even did a chat GPT, and I said, hey, what would be some great questions for officials? And the good news is, a lot of them I already had, but I got a couple other nuggets out of it. So I do want to say this. I've told this story before, but when I retired, I was replaced pretty quickly and I think pretty easily. But when these guys step away, there's a lot of panic that takes place in AD and coaches' offices across the state, because great officials are at a premium and great officials are rare. And when these guys step away, or when a crew steps away from the game of football right now, it is a big deal, because finding officials is hard. Finding really good officials is extremely difficult. And I know it's caused some rescheduling of games to Thursday night or to Saturdays. I'm not sure how we solve that. We'll talk about that a little bit down the road, but just appreciate you guys being here and appreciate what you're doing. And I know it's not an easy job. It can be a thankless job, but here you are doing it well, and let's dive right in. I'm going to start with you, Shane. Some background, where you're from, and some things about your growing up.
Yeah, so I grew up in Golden, Illinois, went to Camp Point Central High School. I got introduced to officiating right out of high school at a YMCA in Quincy, and started working 3rd and 4th grade flag football, and then kind of worked my way through the ranks there, and then moved out to Pullman, Washington, worked at Washington State University, and that's where I really got into high school football. Wow. And so started JV, varsity football out there, and then when I moved back to Illinois, I kind of got lumped in with Darren Koffel and Clarence McGuire and them, and kind of moved my way up that way.
Gotcha. John?
Grew up in Lawrenceville, Illinois. Kind of got started actually when I was in high school with doing Little League, and then also doing 5th and 6th grade stuff. And then when I went to SIU, I was involved in intramurals doing flag football, and kind of some of the same people got licensed. And Bobby Blondie, I was on his crew first, and then actually I was with Darren Koffel as well, and Brett Nert and those guys, and just kind of that's where we got started.
From DuQuoin, it's kind of same as Shane. I was working at the DuQuoin Youth Club, and we did basketball and the flag football for the kids there, and got my IHSA license. And Bob Conti's crew was my first crew with football, and just kind of moved on from there.
So it's interesting. I didn't expect that all three of you would have started officiating at a really young age or early on in your lives. It wasn't something you picked up later. It's something you started doing. What attracted you to it?
Well, I mean, first of all, it was a need.
Yeah.
It was a job for me.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go flip burgers at McDonald's. I could still work. I could still be involved in sports
Yeah.
and still give back to sports that I grew up playing. But for me, it was just an opportunity to stay engaged.
Yeah.
That's about where I came from.
Same thing. I knew I wasn't a college athlete, so that was a way
Yeah.
to be involved. And I definitely wasn't working at a restaurant or any place like that. I wanted to be
Yeah.
wanted to be active, and you got to think, and you got to kind of know the rules. That's kind of the things I like to do anyway. So
Yeah.
just kind of a good fit.
Yeah.
I was making about $6 an hour at the youth club, and a licensed official called me and said, "Hey, can you go work a junior high girls game?" And I'm like, I didn't have a shirt, so he got me a shirt, and I went and worked it, and they handed me $45 cash when I walked in. I'm thinking, this is a much better gig than what I'm doing at the youth club. So I got licensed, and so it was, I was in college and needed the money, and so it was I enjoyed it, but it was also a good extra financial situation too.
Do you guys remember the first high school game you did? Is that too long ago? Do you remember it?
I mean, mine was out in Pullman, Washington.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I was probably, I can't remember which field it was on
Yeah.
or where I was at. So,
Remember your first game?
Yeah, I was at Johnson City. Bobby Blondie was the ref. He took my flag and my whistle. He said, "You're not going to need either one."
That's great. Do you tell the young guys just watch and learn when they first start on a crew?
Usually try to put them at the umpire because they don't technically blow their whistle anyway unless there's something major going on.
Yeah.
And say, all right, just need you to spot the ball,
Yeah.
keep everything. If something crazy goes on, like if somebody's head's rolling down the field, throw your flag.
Yeah.
So
What do you think?
My first game was at Heron, a varsity game. Helmick was the coach at Heron, and I still remember. I mean, it was big deal.
Yeah, some of you mentioned your mentors. You have
yeah, I mean, when I got back to Illinois, I connected with Steve Rhodes out of West Frankfort.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
Steve used to work college football.
you did.
And I really started working with him, and he actually introduced me he got me into refereeing college football.
Oh, really?
And so I refereed college football for a while, and Steve Rhodes was a mentor for me down here. And then out in Pullman, Jeff Elbrock got me really interested out there.
Yeah, Steve, when I got to know Steve well, he was coaching
Yeah.
football and had,
Yep.
had the officiating background, but you don't see a lot of times guys going from the officiating to the coaching. But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
So yeah, I mentioned a couple, Bobby Blondie and Kenny Hungate. Those guys were the kind of the crew I was with at first, and then we kind of had a younger crew.
Yeah.
But then I stepped away for a while,
Yeah.
and actually was on the coaching side of it.
Right, yeah.
And then when I came back in I guess 2012, that's when I kind of really started getting involved with the associations
Yeah.
up in the Metro East and then down here. And so honestly, with football, then it kind of became Bill Book. Ralph Chapman was my neighbor in Pinckneyville. We've been doing it for a long time, so those are kind of guys.
I love the name drops because those are all people that were big time officials
Yeah.
when I got into this business, and so I love to hear those names again. You stepped away for a period of time. You said, and you coached. How did that change the way you viewed officiating, or in what way would it have changed you?
Well, so obviously I was officiating when I was in college early, and then about my junior year in college, I started coaching basketball at Anna Jonesboro, then Carterville.
Yeah.
And then when I graduated and got my first job, I was actually, they told me this is what you're going to do. You're going to be the freshman football coach.
Oh, I've been there.
and that was not what I planned on coaching. I was JV basketball coach, and then ended up being the head baseball coach. And then when I went to Vienna, obviously we didn't have football at that time. But then when I was at Pinckneyville, we were in need of a freshman football coach. I think it was my fourth year there, and we couldn't really find anybody. So I said, I'll do it. And so I was principal at the time.
Yeah.
And so then I also helped with the varsity and got back into that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is it opens your eyes to both ways.
Yeah.
So as a coach, I just want things to be consistent, know what to expect.
Yeah.
And that's what I always think I try to do when I'm officiating is like, I know they just want consistency, want a good explanation of why you saw what you saw and why you did what you saw.
That's interesting. Yeah, appreciate you sharing that. What kind of role models for you, mentors?
Bob Conti was the biggest one. I mean, being from DuQuoin and what Bob had done. Wayne Bigham too. Wayne was kind of getting out of officiating when I was getting into it.
Right.
But I think at that point in time, if you were involved in Southern Illinois and officiating, somewhere along the lines you came across Bobby Blondie, and so Bobby was there, and Bill Book's another guy, especially on the football side of things, and so so those were probably the main guys that I've kind of dealt with throughout the years.
I want to ask you about the crew because you guys are you're your own team. We got two teams on the field. We got a third team on the field, and that's the officiating crew. And I've never officiated. Of course, I've watched literally hundreds and hundreds of games, and I sometimes get enamored with watching the teamwork that goes on among a crew. Tell me about the importance of that. Jim, we'll start with you. I know it's got to be a big deal.
First off, I've refereed your games, and so you have officiated. So I mean, that's not completely true. So,
Touche. I love it.
but no, to me, that's the really neat thing about football is you are together. I mean, maybe a guy misses a week here, a week there, but for the most part, I mean, 9 weeks during the regular season, we're traveling together. We meet at a central location. We head to the games together, and so you really have that camaraderie. You know, and it's that build up to that Friday night. You know, with basketball, you might work 3 or 4 games a week with all kinds of different people.
Right.
But with football, and you work some underclass game with those guys, but it's really kind of everything is geared towards that Friday night football game. And so for me, that's the biggest thing is the guys on my crew. I really enjoy working with them. They're great guys. We have a great time together. I've always said when it's not fun anymore, it's time to get out.
Yeah.
And right now, it's still really fun for me. And that's because of the guys that I work with.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the white hat, so, you know, I kind of run the show, so to speak, and you know, I'm probably not easy to deal with at times because I have certain expectations of our crew. But, you know, it's also when we go out there, I want to make sure that we're putting a good product on the field as well.
How much does this involve, John, the element of trust with each other? I mean, you all got your own thing to look at. You've all got your own responsibilities. There's got to be a big element of trust that they're going to get their job done so I can focus on just what I need to do.
Well, it's huge because if you start looking for what they're supposed to be looking at, that's when you miss something.
Yeah.
And so, and it takes time to develop that. I mean, our crew just finished our 8th year together. And, you know, I got guys on my crew that's got 30 years of experience.
Wow.
So they've been doing it a long time. But being able to mesh that together as though you truly have to be a team. And so all that prep work that goes in, I mean, we have a guy who breaks film down every week for us on our crew, analyzes it, sends it out to the rest. We get assignments every week so we know what's going in on that Friday night. And so people got to have their assignment covered. And just, it's not difficult, but it builds that camaraderie. And then, you know, Jim said, it's cool because there's no other sport where you get to work with the same guys all the time. I mean, I know there's basketball crews out there, they're always together, but there's only one football game a week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tell me, Shane, about this. How long does it take a crew to develop that cohesiveness, that trust with each other? He said same crew for 8 years, right? How long does it take to develop that?
Well, honestly, the crew Jim's my white hat, and the crew we have right now, this is our 4th year, and I think year 1 we were pretty much glued together.
Oh, that's good.
It's just the way we brought our personalities together. It was unique.
Yeah.
And it's just something that meshed really well. We all have like-mindedness, but we also have our differences, and we're not afraid to say, "Hey, you missed that. Here's why you probably missed that."
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing with our crew is we're not afraid to say, "Hey, I think you could have done something different on this," and there's no ego on that field.
That's awesome.
When we're out there as a crew, we're out there as a crew, and we're a team.
What's the toughest call to make in football?
For me personally, it's the illegal lineman downfield.
Okay.
From my position, but you know, a lot of guys will say targeting's tough to call because when you call it targeting, you're essentially doing something with the young man that's in the game.
Yeah. And other people have the benefit of replay for that.
Yep. At the
And
next level.
You've got to make it based on what you saw.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a couple of situations where one of our partners called a targeting, and we got to make sure you have multiple eyes on that call
right.
because it's such an important
Yes.
call. And so, as a crew, you got to be able to come together and have that conversation.
And the illegal man downfield, it's different at every level, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the challenge. We'll talk about maybe a little bit later. Fans think they know the rules, but the fans might know the NFL rule, and they think that applies to high school, correct? So in high school, how far do they get still? How far can a lineman be down?
3 yards.
3 yards.
3 yards.
Okay. And in the pros, I think it's 1. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, it's 1, yeah.
Yeah,
like that.
that's not very far.
No, it's not very far.
That's not very far.
But I mean, fans bring in Saturday afternoons and Sunday
Oh,
afternoons
for
to
sure.
a high school Friday night game, and they yell at us like we don't know what we're doing, but they're yelling at the college rules.
Yeah, I think coaches do too, right? Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He's already zinged me once, but I'll go. I think coaches are confused also. because of that, because they watch so much other football. But I think sometimes they start to think they know the rule, and it may not be the same for high school. Toughest thing to call.
Well, I agree with Shane. I think also pass interference is hard because of the differences in the rules.
Yeah.
Because of what people see on those Saturdays and Sundays,
Right.
like everybody's talking about, and things that get called on Saturdays and Sundays are not penalties on Friday nights.
Right.
And they think that they are.
Yeah.
Especially on the pass interference level. I mean, we had a play in the state championship game. The kid wasn't turned around looking for the ball, but in high school you don't have to be.
Yeah.
And it was a critical play at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And there was separation. He didn't make contact with the player, and we get the call right. But there's a lot of people up the stands. And to go back about the replay thing, we don't have it. We can't use it. But the coaches at the high school level now with their iPads on the sideline,
true.
they're the first ones wanting to stick it in your face.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And face guarding, for example, you can do at the high school level.
You can do that at the high school.
Yeah, and I think that confuses some people because I can hear them screaming face guarding. So, yeah, toughest call.
Well, to go back to your face guarding, at one time that was illegal. And it's probably
Yeah,
7 or 8
exactly.
years
Yeah,
ago
right,
that
yeah.
rule was changed. And so
Yeah.
people, the rules change and they
That's
come and
right.
go. And so, one time face guarding was. I think the toughest is probably targeting. But I think another one is, for me as the referee, if we have a intentional grounding situation. Because I'm going with the quarterback. So I'm watching the quarterback. And if he's being pursued, I'm staying with him all the way. He throws the pass. I may not see if there's receivers. I may not know if we got to the line of scrimmage. So I have to communicate with my wings to make sure that we come together and talk about that to make sure we get that right. And so that's, anytime you're bringing in other people, hopefully, Shane or Mike, our wings, that they're in the position where they can see what's going on as well, so that way we get the call right.
Gotcha. I'll start with you. Emotions are high, and we talked before we went on air that, you like those rival games, you like those big crowds, the excitement. There's a lot of emotion involved. First of all, how do you handle going in? Do you go into a ball game, it's going to be a big rivalry game and so forth. There's a lot of emotion. Coaches are amped up, fans are amped up. How do you prepare yourself for that? Can you tune the crowd out? Is that what you have to do? Is that something you learn to do?
Well, I think yes and no. You're going to hear the crowd.
Yeah.
You're going to hear the roar, the emotion. We had Rochester and Sacred Heart Griffin in the quarterfinals this year. Game went overtime. 5,000 to 6,000 people there. You can't ignore the crowd. I mean, somebody saying something to me from the crowd. Am I listening to that? Absolutely not.
Right.
I mean, you can definitely tune that out. But you know what's going on with the crowd. If it's, they're hollering because they think it's a pass interference call or something of that nature. But you're right. And like with John, I've coached baseball, softball for 30 years. So I understand what coaches are going through. I understand if it's a big play in the game. And so I think that also helps me deal with coaches because I know what it's like to want that borderline 3-2 strike ball count, call. And so, the other thing too, I think that you talked about is we've done this for a long time. We've been in this region for a long time. We know the coaches. They know us. I feel like our crews do a good job. And so that kind of helps give us credence with those coaches in that kind of situation, And we always have to be the coolest head in that situation. When everything is burning up around us, we have to be cool as a cucumber whenever we're dealing with those coaches because they are uptight, they're fired up, and there's a lot going on. And so
there was a time when I was growing up that, and this was more of a baseball situation, but the manager would go out to argue a call, and the umpire would be as emotional, and they would be nose to nose, yelling and screaming. And I always thought, if that umpire would just chill, it might bring that situation down. But I can still see Earl Weaver of the Orioles and or Billy Martin, and the umpires were not going to take it. And I mean, it was nose to nose, and I'm thinking, I don't know. I love the idea you're going to be the coolest head out there. Because I think there is so much emotion involved, and everybody wants to win, and everybody saw the play the way they wanted to see the play, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about a coach. You go into a ball game, you might know you got a coach that's a pretty fiery individual, and I know of a particular coach who I was telling earlier that every game I ever saw him coach in, he would scream, "You'll never work here again," the officials. And sure enough, they might be there the next week, but it was always his threat, "You'll never work here again." How do you handle a coach? Or what's the best way to handle a coach that has that fiery personality that tends to ride that roller coaster of emotion?
Well, I think it goes back to being the cool. I mean, I got to be the calmest and talk in a normal voice and here's the thing, just be honest. because I think a lot of times, if you trying to, just appease whatever you guys did, even if you're wrong. And so, if we've messed something up and we know it, I mean, we just can't go back and change it.
Right.
So it's being honest, which obviously we don't want to, but that's kind of, I'm the white hat on my crew. And so I kind of have to go over and be the mediator, so to speak, or the one who has to own up to it.
Yeah.
And so I think that credibility that Jim's talking about, you build that up over time. So they know that, they know we're out there because we're trying to do the best job we can do. We're not trying to do anything on purpose
Right.
to affect them. So it's building that trust. And so I think with people like that, they know you, so you really don't, even if they're that's their stick. That's what they do, right? Yeah. They would do that no matter who was at the game. I mean, you get that at every sport. The coaches are going to be a certain way. We were talking about that earlier with one coach, and last night the officiating crew asked me, "Is he all right? Something wrong with him?" Because he wasn't up and animated like he normally is.
He's not his normal self.
Is he sick? Is there something going on in his life? No, he's fine.
He can't be chill. He's never chill.
Because they were totally expecting the total opposite going into the game, and we're human beings. It's really hard to turn your personality off.
It is. Isn't it funny, though, how bad of a job you're doing when a team is losing? But when they start winning, you guys are doing such a good job, man. You guys are doing great. I love it. And of course, coaches don't want to admit that even though you've made a bad call and cost them this game, they didn't make any bad calls the whole game. All their calls were really right on target. So, you ever have to help a coach out that's getting an earful?
No, not really. I mean, if they're giving me the business, they're doing it for a reason.
Yeah.
And I always take that into consideration.
Yeah.
And when I have a coach really going after me, I try to be a cool head like Jim and John talked about. And my philosophy is to over-communicate.
Yeah.
I feel they can't get mad at you too much if you're over-communicating.
Yeah.
Because then they're like, all right, he's approachable.
Yeah.
He or she's approachable. So I think the more you can talk with a coach and do that in the pregame and let them know, hey, this is what you can expect from me. If you have a question, I'll answer it as soon as I can.
Awesome.
So,
hot weather, cold weather. If I'm talking frigid temperatures or hot as Hades, what would you rather work in?
Hot.
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 Hot?
cold.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I was just thinking about that. I'm thinking about that job, and we forget those officials are out there. And I know the championship game you just did. You got your steps in, brother. I mean,
17,000.
Is that what?
Back judge had 22.
My wife was dying to know if you guys tracked that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
17 and 22.
That's right. Underneath my
I'm
wrist.
so
yeah.
glad you did. I was dying to know how many.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
great game, long game, wild game, and that's a lot of steps, brother.
Yeah.
You earned your paycheck that night. Yeah.
They paid a little more.
How has the game? We'll start with you, Shane. How has the game changed since you started? What have you?
Well, technology first of all.
Technology. Okay.
But just the way you call a game. When I first started, the big hits, the cracking the helmets, the cracking the pads, that was exciting.
Oh yeah.
Now if you hear it, you're like, oh, that must have been a foul.
Blindside.
I mean, you really got to think about, aesthetics, if you will.
Yeah.
I still love seeing a good hit, but now it's like, was it illegal? Or
no.
The way people hit, that's really changed, and what people think about.
Interesting, John.
Well, I think those things with the game, for us, there's so much more passing, so much more spread.
Right.
I mean, games when I first started officiating, you were probably done in an hour and 45 minutes. Now this year, I've had 3 games that were over 3 hours.
Yeah.
3 hours and 20 minutes because the clock's going to stop, the ball's incomplete, kids go out of bounds, they're not running, trying to make contact, they're trying to keep the game fast. So
That's right.
it's changed the dynamics of the game and what you have to look for, because with only 5 guys, unlike Saturdays and Sundays when there's 7, there's 9, 5 guys with 22 out there, it's a whole different level of what you have to watch when people are going all over the field.
Yeah, that spread offense has put players from sideline to sideline, and that's a great point. And I know our games, when we went to the spread in 2005, our games dramatically slowed down. I mean, we were there a long time, and before it had never been that way.
Mm-hmm.
What's changed the most?
These guys they touched on it with the technology and the passing with the RPO now and everything. It's that's changed. I mean, I don't know what else to add to it when I think of it. I mean, I think more of when I first started, it was run, and like you said, now you're seeing a lot more differences with the offenses and things of that nature. And And so I'd say the way that they run their offense is probably the biggest.
Number of coaches you got to deal with.
Yeah, well, but
Coaching
you
staff
still had some,
sizes.
you still had some big coaching staffs back then, but it seems like everybody's got
A small
14,
army.
15 guys now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
Well,
that's,
and,
that's a good
and the
point.
size of the players changed dramatically
That's
too.
true,
I mean,
too.
these kids are getting bigger and bigger, and I mean, I remember what was our first round playoff game, second round,
bone crusher.
Bone Crusher, where we had Chicago Mount Carmel come down, and I mean, they were men amongst boys.
Yeah.
I mean, they were huge.
Chicago Mount Carmel, I heard, they played tonight, I think.
Yeah.
13 Division I players.
Yes, and they were all legit.
And they're legit Division
They have
I
a
players.
defensive end going to USC that was
And they have a lineman going to Nebraska. I mean, but they were just 6'7", 6'6",
Yeah.
offensive linemen.
When I was in high school, I was a sophomore in high school, my brother was a senior. The biggest person, and we thought he was big, on Salem High School's football team was 6'3", 225. And we thought he was a big dude.
And now he's a wide receiver.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, any changes you would like to see? Anything that you look at and say, we need to fix this?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Anything?
I got one.
Oh,
We just talked about it. I mean, the length of games. What I would love to see them do is initiate, like with the college, and I think NFL does it
Yep.
too, but on an incomplete pass, a runner goes out of bounds, the clock stops. When the ball gets spotted, you start the clock
Oh,
again.
yeah.
And I just think that would
Yeah.
get that clock running some more. You'll go out and a team passing will run 3 plays from scrimmage, and they'll take 20 seconds off the game clock. And it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, you're going to be there forever, like John said. I mean, there's been 3 hours, 3.5-hour games this year. I mean, guys are getting done at 10. They're walking the field at 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
and in this concussion, everybody's scared of concussion world that we live in now. I mean, think about how many more plays teams are running now compared to when you were at Sparta coaching.
Yeah.
You know, I
Oh.
mean, the more plays you have, the more opportunities for kids to get hurt and everything else. So I think I would look into ways to speed the game up.
Is there any discussion, Jim, about that? Is there anyone mentioning that? Or?
I've thought about calling a couple of. I don't know how you bring a rule up to the National Federation to maybe look at something like that. But I've thought about talking with a couple of association guys that I know to see if maybe there's something we could do with
That's
that. Whether
interesting.
we go through Illinois first, or
Yeah.
but I think that'd be a great rule change
Not-
to keep that clock rolling a little
The
bit more.
NCAA sends out surveys every year to
Yeah.
officials, coaches, about during rule change years. Do you have any recommendations for the rules committee to actually
Right.
take a look at? And I think that'd be something National Federation of High School should look at doing.
Would that have to be a federation change for it to take place?
I don't know how that works. If the federation does it and then the states have the chance to adopt it, I mean, I'm sure because like Texas uses the NFL rules, so I'm sure as a state you could probably kind of do what you want to do with that also. Yeah.
If we got a young man or young woman watching today, and they're interested in officiating, what advice would you give that young person who's young person says, I want to officiate? What do I need to do to be good at this, to get at the level you guys are at?
You got to be approachable. You got to be open-minded. You've got to be able to let some things roll off your back, if you will. I feel a lot of young officials take things too personal, and so when they take things too personal, then they get discouraged real quick.
Yeah.
Because, like we've talked about, coaches can be a little animated at times.
Yes.
And so when that animation gets to a height level, then a young official will kind of back down. And so then they're like, this is no longer fun.
Ah.
Whereas for me, and I'm sure with these two, when somebody yells at me, it's kind of like a superpower. I feed off of that because what did I miss? Do I need to look at something different?
Yeah.
I look at somebody yelling at me as maybe I did miss it, or where maybe they had a different look.
Yeah.
Whereas a newer official, they look at it as they don't like me.
There's a coach's credibility thing, isn't there? Though, are there coaches that when they yell something at you, and they're not maybe someone that yells every play, but you're thinking,
Maybe you need to take a look.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe based on that coach's personality, maybe we did miss.
Right.
As with the coach that yells everything, maybe you don't.
You
listen
just
to
drown
that.
those coaches out. But like you said, if you get a coach that doesn't say a whole lot, and he's coached his team, and he says, "Hey, you guys missed that. There was a hold there." You know, I mean, it makes you think. Well, I mean, he hardly ever says a word. Maybe we did miss something.
Yeah.
So
This is a question I've been dying to ask officials for a long time, so I'm glad you're here. So you're playing it. I'm coaching a game, and I feel like they are just abusing my receivers, and you call pass interference. You call pass interference, and they keep doing it. There's a belief among coaches that at some point you'll stop flagging it because you can't just keep flagging it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That I coached against a team one time that habitually held, I think, every snap, and it got called early. The game got out of hand. We won, but they were still holding, I thought, throughout the game, and I think they could have called it. Where's that fine line at? Does that make sense? My question makes sense to you?
It does.
Does it impact the game?
Yeah.
Does it like once? So you got ahead in that situation.
Yeah.
At that point, we're not going to throw the flags because that's just it's
Yeah.
going to prolong the game. I mean, it's kind of the focus of what they want us to focus on now is getting everything at the point of attack. So play goes to the right and there's a hold on the backside over here. The left has no impact on the play unless it's some kind of safety risk.
Yes.
That's not a penalty.
I love that
That's a
philosophy.
talk to. That's a go talk to him. Say
Yes.
knock it off. We're not going to do that tonight. That kind of a thing.
Yes.
Because you want to make it impactful. So I think early in the game, like you talked about, now if it continues the rest of the night and we get a 7-7 ball game and it's impacting
Yeah.
that play, so if you're talking about there's a hold, they're holding, but it's over there and the play goes this way,
Yeah.
we're not calling that.
Okay.
But we're talking to them.
We're talking to them.
Yeah.
And
completely agree.
Yeah.
I think East St. Louis they have like 38 penalties in a quarterfinal game or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
Oh my gosh.
I
Really?
mean, and you want flow. I mean, as a coach, you want flow to your
Oh,
game.
for sure.
And so those are disruptors. And I mean,
Yeah.
if we're flagging every play, it's it's a nuisance for everybody.
And you're not making-
you're getting
yeah.
aggravated. Probably the fans are getting aggravated. We're getting aggravated as officials, and it's just not good for the game.
Yeah.
And so, but like John said, you want to make sure that if it affects the play, that we're taking care of that situation, or if it's a safety situation.
And if it does continuously happen and we are flagging it, we've got to make sure we talk to the coaches. Hey, this is what they're doing. And help us talk to the player.
Yeah.
And I think that goes back to communication and credibility.
Yeah.
And if we can do that in a more effective way, then that helps us.
I appreciate those were great answers. And I at some point in that ball game when we got ahead, I'm glad they quit flagging it because I was ready to get out of there. But yeah, I appreciate that. That's a great answer. And I always wonder about it. It's like they're still doing it, but I love the fact that some officials will hang in there and say this game is close and we're going to stick to it. It's still a penalty, but when it gets out of hand, one way or the other, I understand. When you watch football on TV, Jim, I'll start with you. How much? I wondered if you watch the officials more than the average fan does.
Yeah, we watch. That's like the curse of being an official. Is you go to games and you watch the officials.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think to kind of go back to what we talked about earlier with the plays. I mean, when you look at the NFL and the college games now, they always have some kind of a rules guy there.
Yeah.
So anytime there's a review or anytime there's a call, they're bringing this rules guy in, and he's talking about the rule, and so they're getting that college rule or they're getting that NFL rule.
Yeah.
And like you said, then they bring that back to Friday night, and it's not a rule. I mean, in high school, you can throw it 10 feet over the receiver's head. But if you hit that receiver before the ball gets there, it's pass interference.
Yeah, but
there is no such.
catchable.
That's not a federation rule. So
hear it all the time.
and we hear from fans that wasn't a catchable pass. On Saturdays and Sundays, you're right, but not on Friday nights.
I had to correct my own staff before. It doesn't matter. It's not the same league, but yeah. I mean, so when you look at it, do you watch the officials?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah. Hey, how can you not, right?
Oh, I've ruined football for a Nebraska woman before. I married a woman from Nebraska, Tina, and she has literally said, especially when I was working college football, I would see where the flag was, and then I would do the mechanics myself off the side.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a hold, and she's like, shut up, you're killing me.
Let me watch the game.
So
I always wondered if you guys are seeing things maybe the average fan doesn't see because you're watching it from a different viewpoint that you probably can't get away from.
Well, you're looking at the positioning of people.
Yeah.
And you're kind of where you're at usually, where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you're like, why are they there? They're putting themselves in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Because I was watching the game last weekend and they were punting. Well, when you punt, the white hat's supposed to be on the line judge's side to fill in because the line judge's taken off. And this crew it was the opposite, and it's like they're in trouble. And
Yeah.
there was a punt that went down that side, and there was
Yeah.
no coverage on that side.
And very few people noticed that except you. And that's pretty awesome, right? Because I talked to line coaches a few weeks ago, and I asked them, when you watch a game, what do you watch? And they're like, we watch the linemen. I said, you're the only guys that are watching the linemen. You know, everyone else is watching the ball. They're watching the snap, and they're watching the linemen. I thought that's fascinating because you watch what you know. You watch what you're vested in. So that's pretty cool. Are you a fan of replay?
I am.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, anytime we can get the call right, absolutely.
Yeah. Replay?
I'm a fan of it. I just don't think it's doable in high school.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know how we would ever do that. Yeah. Fan of replay?
Not really.
No.
No, I think, and I'm going to use kind of basketball in this terms, but like you watch now in basketball, when they start reviewing every out of bounds play, I mean, it just kills momentum. It slows the game down. I'm just not a fan of it. I mean, to me, the human element is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, same thing. I mean, you look at the shot clock coming into basketball, everybody's screaming, well, now they got to buy more, they got to buy the shot clocks. They got to have someone run it. They got all this other kind of stuff. Well, how are you going to do review at the high school level?
Yeah.
I know there has been talk of maybe using review at state championships.
Yes. Right.
With that situation, because obviously they're at those universities.
That's right.
They have those capabilities. So there has been talk about that with the IHSA, but I just don't ever see that happening at every high school throughout the state.
Yeah. Jim, start with you. Tush push. Should they keep it?
Well, theoretically, by rule, you cannot push the runner. You can only push the pile. So it's not like the tush push of what they have at the upper levels where you can actually push the runner. You can only push the pile.
So in high school football, and this is another thing fans are confused by, you cannot aid the runner.
No.
You can only aid the pile.
By rule, you're not supposed to.
I
Correct.
thought in the Fenwick East St. Louis game, there was a situation where a pile moved and scored a touchdown. I wondered, I don't think fans understand that that's kind of a gray area. Did they push the pile, which it kind of looked like they did, but you cannot aid the runner. Right. But at the NFL level, do you think it's a play that should be taken out? You're okay with it?
Makes me no difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter.
But spoken like a true official, by rule, he says.
Yeah.
I mean, I know guys that called it in high school this year.
Really?
That's the play was designed, and they went up and got behind the running back and pushed the running back in, and the officials called it.
I actually saw it too. And I think, again, the coach put that in. And
It's designed.
yeah.
Well, I mean, they're going to mimic what they see is
Of course.
successful. And
Just like the pants they wear on Friday nights.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, pull them up. It all trickles down, doesn't it? It all trickles down. You mentioned it earlier, but how much film is involved for you guys as far as watching ahead of time, watching film what you get access to, or film after you've done a game? How much is that a part of the officiating world?
I mean, for our crew, it's a lot. Now it depends. We don't always get the tape, so we've got a huddle account. So we always give a card, send out information via email. It's like, please send it here. And there are coaches out there that they're worried that we're going to leak their tape to somebody else, and it's like, we're officials. We want to see
Everybody's
the plays.
and tell that coach.
And
Everybody's
so,
got your film anyway.
Yeah. So, and I mean, having been a coach, I'm like, we had to trade films all the time. So that's part of it.
Yeah.
But we got a guy, he and then myself as well. We review. We'll pull clips, make comments. We remember the critical plays in the game. We want to see those, see if we got them right, see if there's something we should have done better. A lot of it then also goes back to looking at your mechanics. Are people doing the mechanics right? Because you want to, position and clean that up. So, and then if we can find tape on our opponents, the teams that are playing this week, we'll look at everybody that, and you can get a lot of that stuff on NFHS and stuff like that too. So, I would say, through a regular season week, it's 2 or 3 hours maybe.
Sure.
Now in the playoffs, we kind of amped that up because we knew we had some really good teams that were probably going to be some really close games.
Yeah. Has tempo kind of, I know for a while, we ran it a lot ourselves. Tempo was a big deal for a while. I mean, we're running the play, setting the ball. NASCAR.
You guys go as fast as
so
possible.
we're screaming NASCAR. I don't see that as much. Do you see it as much as we once
Well,
did?
Rochester does.
Yep.
It just kind of depends. I mean, everybody kind of has their philosophy and what they want to do, but Rochester is the school that definitely goes with tempo.
Yeah. But as an officiating crew, we got to make sure that they move at our pace because they can't do anything until we're ready to go.
Right.
Because if they're running a play and we're not ready, then if something does happen and we miss it, that's on us.
I think the first year I ran tempo, it was 2005. We're screaming NASCAR. And I think the first year, I think the officials hurried with us, which was great. And then the second year, they came back and said, like, sorry, coach, we're not doing that again. You'll be at our pace, and which we'll get it set, and then you can go with, but we're not going to be as fast as you want to be. And I thought, dang it, for a while we.
Well, and with the play clock change, where it starts
Yeah.
right away, we want to make sure the ball gets set within between 40 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can do that, I think we can control a good pace. That
Yes.
that allows teams that run a very fast pace offense time to do what they need to,
Right.
but we're not hurrying ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think that's the key piece.
I just didn't see it as much this year in the games that I saw, like I once did. That was such a big deal. So how do we get more officials? There's an official shortage. Do you guys have a short answer, like something you would say? This is what we need to do to get more officials in the game because there is a shortage.
I don't know if it's the right answer, but I would really like to see the schools take more initiative with that, with kids, seniors, trying to get them involved. I don't know how many people know this, but every high school in the state of Illinois gets 2 vouchers for any student who's graduating that they can get their first year IHSA license paid for free.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't
And
know
so,
that. Yeah.
I think it would just be good to see the schools get involved, like with Ryan at Marion. If he knows some kids who love athletics, are not going to go on the next level, but want to be involved in some way, it's a great opportunity to be involved. And then once they get involved, I think you've kind of got to get a mentor. You need to get around somebody
Right.
that can help you. I think a lot of people get into officiating and they don't really know what to do. I hear them, well, I didn't realize I had to go to a clinic, or I didn't realize this. And I think if you could get somebody to help you and kind of guide you in that situation, I think it's going to keep them around a lot longer.
Good. I love what you said earlier too about they get discouraged pretty quickly when they take some heat, and I wonder sometimes if some coaches don't see the guy that they can put some pressure, the younger guy.
And they do. They coaches really do. They can pick out who's new.
Yeah.
But for me, so my daughter's a senior in high school, and last year she started working junior high volleyball.
Yeah.
So she's already started the process
Oh, wow.
of working,
Yeah.
or started officiating because she sees the paycheck.
Yeah.
And sometimes, the paycheck is nice, but it comes with some good responsibility.
Yeah.
And she watched her mom, my wife, referee volleyball, and she's played volleyball, and so it's just a natural progression for
That's
her.
awesome. I'm glad she's doing that.
But
How
to
do we
go with
get-
what you kind of said, Coach, too, I've had situations in football underclass games where maybe I'm bringing a guy on and it's his first game, and I'll tell the coaches, hey, this is his first game. Don't get crazy on it. Because of that reason, like Shane said, they start getting yelled at and they're like, what am I doing out here?
Yeah.
And so, hey, this is his first game. If you want to yell at somebody, yell at me.
I think that's great. I think that communication, helps maybe temper that a little bit. Yeah.
We also allow them to get in bad situations because they'll get started and their first thing is to go do a junior pro game, and that might be the worst level you could possibly go and do.
My.
It's like church league basketball.
Because
thank you.
the coaches a lot of times they're going to do that. They're going to go after it, and it wouldn't matter if it's me. That's why I do.
Right.
Like I'll do a junior pro game once every 3 years, and then remember why I don't want to do one again.
Yeah. No.
And so if I'm doing it after 20 plus years of doing
Yeah.
this, and then say this is not worth it, we send a brand new guy out there, and that's what they face. And so a lot of that, people are competitive. People want to win. But here's the thing: we've got to have people to do this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those situations. So we could also help if join an association, get the mentors Jim's talking about. You're going to have to put some work in if you want to get good at it, because a lot of other times we get people who start that don't have patience because they think, well, I should be working on Friday nights.
Yeah.
And then, well, you know what? We didn't just start working on Friday nights. We started working at fresh, soft, and JV levels. But now we're throwing people out on Friday nights that are first year.
Because you have to.
Because we have to.
Yeah.
And so goes back to what Jim said. That's where you got to put them in a position to succeed. And that's with whatever crew they're at. So you put them in a place where they're not going to get exposed. And at the same time, make the coaches aware, like, hey, we're trying to grow this so that you have people in the future.
Yeah, that's such a great point. If the coaches want this situation solved, they've got to be a little better with the officials, especially the young officials. I can remember when I first got into coaching, there were a lot of people doing football games, and they only did lower level. They hadn't they hadn't earned their stripes yet.
Yep.
And I don't, out of necessity, I don't think I see that. But I also think, like you said, I think some young officials want to just get the license and jump into that varsity game on Friday. And it's like, you're not ready. You know, but I have too much respect for that, for your job to say you're ready for that. You're not ready. It takes time. I was thinking, in preparation for this, I was thinking about Al Van Horn. You guys remember Al Van Horn? He was my favorite lower level official. And the reason is because he would actually coach the kids a little bit during the game. And I love that. One of my frustrations was that a lot of times there were just a lot of flags in a lower level game because the kids do a lot of penalties. And Al would sometimes run by and say, your left tackle's holding, I'm going to have to call it. So you better get him straightened out. So we'd call the left tackle over and say, he says you're holding, stop it, you know. But I love that philosophy. I think that reminds me of what you guys have all said. Communication is key, right? Talking to those coaches before the game, communicating during the game. I think you guys all do a good job of that. I think that heads off so many issues that can come up if you'll just talk to the coach. I think, you know, your presence and the respect they have for the three of you can change a lot of things in a hurry. That fiery coach, once he gets one-on-one with you, may not be quite as fiery as he once was when you come up and you address whatever he's concerned about. Can I talk about the Fairfield? The Fairfield, it was Porter, right? And I've had a lot of people say, if you're going to have him on, you got to ask him about this. So I think the big thing people want to know is, how does that happen with a crew of 5 people? Like a person, they understand a person could get it wrong, but how does the crew get it wrong? Do you guys have any answer for this or any thoughts on that?
I think it goes back to what Shane was talking about when you asked him about the tempo. When you watch that all happen as fast as it did.
Yes.
And my guess is this, and this is just my guess after watching it,
Right.
is that everybody at that field, including the referees, knew that they didn't have any timeouts and fully expected that quarterback to spike the ball on 3rd down, and he took a knee, and the clock's rolling. And in that moment of time, everybody went, what is going on? He should have spiked the ball, and then they get back up and spike the ball then. And they never moved their band over, because you wear a band or however you keep track of the downs. And when they all got together, but, you know, and I'm obviously wasn't there. I don't know. I'm sure they had radios on and that kind of things. We talk about us, you know, situations like that. We're bringing everybody together. We're going to go through everything and make sure, because we're going to have to all own it. It's not on one person. And so, you know, I didn't see the whole video. I don't know if that happened, what I saw, but I'm not going to, you know, that's that crew, and they had to deal with it. But the way I looked at it, that's what I think happened, that everybody knew exactly what should have happened, and then when it didn't,
it freaked them out.
And they froze.
Any thoughts?
You know, I think John kind of explained it pretty well. I think my only thing is this, is, you know, when you're an official, everybody comes up to you. Well, did you see that play? Or what'd you know, I mean, when I go to my son's basketball game, everybody asks me, you know, about plays or these officials or whatever else. You know, people were like blasting them on social media, and they should never work another football game again. And
I know.
Here's the thing, nobody feels worse.
Yeah.
Nobody in the world
That's
feels worse than what those 5 guys do.
Sure.
I mean, we are not out here to screw kids over and to ruin their senior years and those kind of things. And I mean, you know, I'm almost sure that crew has worked in the past state final, and they got caught up and they missed it. And I mean, if they missed that in the first quarter, it's probably nobody maybe talks about it. But because it's the last play of the game, there's just so much, you know, attention on that situation, and then everything comes out like it does once the game's over. And you know, I mean, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with those guys if they stay with it. I mean, to me, that would be tough to continue to move on after that situation. And so I just feel for those guys.
I do too. I do too.
And nobody, and I don't think fans realize that officials really take everything very personal.
Right.
I mean, just because the game's over doesn't mean that we just stop worrying about what we did. Like the 3 of us, we take this as this is a profession. This is a career for us. And just like anything else, we take it very personal. And, you know, I had a call this year that I got lit up by fans and coaches, and you know, the first thing we do is we go back and look at the play.
Yeah.
we do go back and look at what could I have done differently.
Yeah.
What is it that we could have had help, and so I think fans need to understand. Officials really take this very personal, and this does stay with us.
Yeah. I think go ahead.
I mean, we're on the phone with each other or our other crew members or other people that we know for hours during the week talking about plays that happen because people are trying to own them and own whatever plays you had because that's how serious we take it. And, it's just, I mean, what was it whenever Mizzou and Colorado played?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it happens in college. It's happened at other levels. It's not anything
And it
new.
will probably happen again at some
Absolutely.
point. I think if it happens 20 years ago or 10 years ago and there's no video of it, not as big a deal, but now everything is
Social media
is everywhere. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Those were great answers, and I appreciate your input on that. What's your take on your best memory so far as an official? Do you have a best memory, something that stands out like that was a cool moment?
Honestly, working the third round at Rochester, everything about that environment, that game, to the drive up, to the drive home, and everything in between, that was just fun.
Yeah.
Just from the start, I mean, we had lunch at St. Nick's in DuQuoin, and we ended up trying to figure out what we're going to do for dinner at some Mexican restaurant in, what was it?
Hillsboro.
Hillsboro.
Yeah. But that's the stuff that I enjoy.
That's good.
And
Awesome.
playing, we karaoke in the car on the way home.
You didn't have to say that.
I did too, because Jim can't carry a tune.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot, but obviously, last week, because I'll be really honest, the first 4 weeks of the postseason for our crew was, I don't know, it was pretty stressful.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of great games, but I think as a crew we were putting so much pressure on ourselves, we weren't having much fun with it.
Yeah.
And so that makes it really, it was a grind. And then Saturday or Friday, it all kind of came together. And then to get the game that we got, especially the first two games before us were running clock games. And I mean, you obviously should be excited to be in the state championship, but both crews, when they came off the field, I mean, they were like, hey, good job. Yeah, that was a good job. I mean, our game it came down to the last play of the game, and it's like, and I mean, everybody in the locker room, like the crew that was getting ready to go do the 4A game, and the IHSA people were like, man, what a game. That was awesome. You guys did a great job. It just to finally be able to soak in that moment with guys that you've spent 8 years together trying to get there, and then to have that happen the way it did, like you couldn't have wrote it up any better. Like we could go back in a few years possibly, and I don't think it could top it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to work 2 state finals, and so I mean those are great. And John got that experience this past week, but I think to kind of echo what Shane says, I mean, for us to come together as a crew and to be together for this short time. But I know how hard we all work, and so to get that assignment, I mean, it's like, okay, we've worked 2 rounds, and now we get that quarterfinal assignment, and so, it just kind of shows you the kind of hard work pays off. And the other thing with that is you get those assignments, and you're thinking, oh, we're going to have this great game, and then it's a blowout, and you're just like, well, okay, it was great to work it, but it's it's kind of it loses its luster, and so to have Rochester and Griffin in that huge rivalry game and that many people there and the game to go to overtime, it just makes that situation a lot better because the game was such a great game too.
I think it's really cool that you guys relish the close.
We get geeked up for that stuff too.
So when I started this, and someone asked me about the origin of this, and it really came from Jerry Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and I laid there on the couch during COVID, and I said, I want to do that. Because I wasn't coaching at the time. You couldn't. And I said, when I get done coaching, I'm going to interview coaches. I want people to see who they really are, besides the guy on the sideline or the guy on the, in basketball games, standing there ranting and raving. I think there's so much more to the heart of a coach. And I think this has offered me a chance to really shed the light on them as people, not just as the position of coach. And I think I can't think of a better group for people to see you guys without the stripes on, and let them hear what's in your heart, what's in your mind, and how invested you are in the game and in the rules and in doing a good job and communicating, and how much love you have. And I just appreciate you being here and allowing that to happen, because I think there's a lot of benefit from this conversation today that I think people need to watch and listen and learn. And maybe
They won't be nicer to us.
maybe a little bit.
I gotta say, probably an hour and a half, I'm gonna be getting strained out.
But I think it's something that I've been there. I've been on the sideline. I know, and in retirement, I've had a chance to really reflect a lot. And one of the things I think about is just this relationship between coaches and officials, and how important it is, how strained it can be, and how awesome it would. Listen, when crews like yours step onto a field, I have to be honest. There is or Ryan walks by and says, "This is your crew for the week," and it's a crew you trust and love and respect. There's just that feeling of relief. And then sometimes that feeling when you get a crew that you don't know, I'm sorry, there's a lot of, I hope it goes well. So you guys do a lot for, I think, coaches in bringing peace of mind that we're going to get a great effort from our guys, and they're going to do a great job, and they know the rules, and you're going to call it the way you see it, and you're going to call it from both sides, and it means a lot, because we need officials like you guys, and I don't know how to fix that problem, but I appreciate your input.
Yeah, I mean, we take a lot of time, and I mean, our families suffer a little bit too because we're on the road.
Course.
And
Yep.
I mean, there's many times we're calling our families and saying, "Here's where we're going to be," and we're telling our families. And at the college level, I'm in a hotel room one night and driving all night the next.
Yeah.
So,
Well, again, I appreciate you being here, all of you. Appreciate what you're doing. I hope you keep doing it for a long time, because we need you more now than ever before. And I wish you all the best. I know some of you are headed off to another sport, but this was a football conversation, so hopefully I'll see you next year on the football field again. So I want to thank you for watching and listening again. I want to thank Crown Brew. I want to thank Ross and Abby. Reminder about Swinford Wedding Videography and Photography. Make sure you contact them if you have those needs. Adrenaline Fundraising, Matt and Jeff do the best raising money for coaches and organizations. I want to thank Tony Gooch at Marion Plumbing. I want to thank you most of all for watching, being supportive and loyal, and giving me great suggestions out there. And so we look forward to seeing you again next time, and take care. Thank you.